What does it mean to be the strongest? Strength is a badge of honor, a birthright, a curse, and a fantasy. Because the strongest isn't just a title, it's a lens, a drug, a religion. Power is one of the most interesting aspects in any story because of what it means. Power is the ability to act, to influence, to change. And that power can come from wealth, from charisma, from brute force, or from something darker, something colder, something cursed. In Jujutsu Kaisen, power is never just about strength. It's about pain, memory, trauma, the things that break us, and the things that keep us moving. And no one walks away from it unchanged. This is a story about what power gives you and what it takes. To be the strongest, it sounds final, like a mountain peak you climb and never fall from, like the story ends when you get there. But that's the lie about power, because when you're the strongest, there's no one left to reach you and no one left to save you. Anime and manga love the strongest, the god tier, the broken, the one-man army. They're the trump cards, the backbones, the reason enemies hesitate. They're walking plot armor and ultimate stakes rolled into one. But this archetype, it's more than hype. It's a symbol, a psychological lighthouse, because when everything goes to hell, the strongest is the one you pray shows up, not just to win, but to fix it all. And no one sells that fantasy harder than Gojo Satoru. A man with the eyes of a god and the mouth of a troll, untouchable, unmatched, and unbothered. Gojo doesn't just believe he's the strongest, he knows it, and for a long time we believe it too. But here's the twist, being the strongest, it doesn't make you free, it makes you responsible for every failure, every life lost, and every decision that no one else can make. Gojo's power isolated him long before he was sealed. He could save the world, but not his best friend. He could rewrite the system, but couldn't reach the ones he loved. He wasn't a hero, he wasn't a myth, he was a lonely god standing at the top, with no one beside him. So when Gojo falls, it's not just shocking, it's poetic. The final proof that in Jujutsu Kaisen, strength is never enough. So maybe the real question isn't who's the strongest, it's why do we worship strength in the first place? We don't just respect strength, we worship it. Across time and cultures, we've built our stories around the strongest. Zeus, Hercules, Gilgamesh, Superman. The strong doesn't just win, they decide what winning means. Because deep down, we believe strength is control. Control over chaos, over fate, over the things that hurt us. We tell ourselves, if we're strong enough, this wouldn't have happened. If I were strong enough, I could have saved them. That belief is addictive. It makes power look holy, untouchable. I think most of us remember where we were during the first ever transformation in Dragon Ball Z. Maybe it was your cousin's house. Maybe you were laying belly down on the carpet with a bowl of cereal to your side. The room was dark. The TV hummed softly. Toonami, 9 p.m. Dragon Ball Z was on. It wasn't just any old episode. This was after the supposed death of the Galactic Emperor. That was until we saw Frieza lift Krillin like a puppet. And then, boom. He laughed as his ashes fell like snow. And all I could remember from Goku was his pleads, his yells, his rage. Then, his transformation. This was the moment people remember. The power, the ascension. The way the world around Goku seems to bow to him the moment his hair turns gold. This is the fantasy. The idea that you could become this. The strength could solve everything. That power is freedom. When Goku becomes a Super Saiyan, it's not just a plot device, it's a cultural milestone, a rite of passage for fans, a symbol of evolution, dominance, transcendence. And that's what people worship. Not Goku the person, but Goku the image. The idea of someone who rises above limits, who never stays down, who always wins no matter the odds. And what makes his moment so beautiful is the fact that he spares the space dictator because he understands he is stronger. His kind heart shines even past his rage and anger. This is the other side of the fantasy. The playfulness of power. Goku doesn't sulk, he doesn't brag, he trains, he eats, he fights, he laughs. He enjoys being strong. And that joy is infectious. It makes power seem harmless, even noble. Fans don't just admire him, they want to be him, because Goku makes being the strongest look fun. But here's the problem. The fantasy skips the weight. We cheer for the triumphs but ignore the costs. We remember Goku wins but not his losses. We idolize the man but rarely look at the expectations placed upon him. What people worship isn't Goku's reality, it's the dream. The dream of effortless power, of strength without consequences, of control without responsibility. But strength doesn't come with morality. It doesn't guarantee safety or wisdom or peace. In anime, we see this far too often. Some heroes lose themselves to it, some villains wear it like armor, and some characters are crushed by the weight of chasing it. In Jujutsu Kaisen, power isn't righteous, it doesn't save people, it doesn't come with answers. Sukuna is the raw shape of that idea. He doesn't care about good or evil, only that he can do. In the world where strength is everything, even monsters get to sit on thrones. Jujutsu Kaisen shows us what happens after that fantasy, after the myths, after the worship, because in this world, if you can't control power controls you.
Believers.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
I've paid you a small fortune.
This gives you power over me?
When Bane confronts Daggett here, he dismantles the illusion of control. Daggett assumes that wealth equals dominance, that because he bankrolled Bane's operation, he holds authority. But Bane's quiet menace exposes something deeper. True power isn't owned, it's embodied. It doesn't report to money or status, it doesn't answer to the hand that signs the checks. This moment reframes power not as something given, but something taken. In the same way characters in JJK are often thrusted into roles of power, not because they want it, but because they represent it. Whether they like it or not, the world sees them as weapons, not people. A similar concept takes place in Game of Thrones, with Cersei's power is power. She doesn't plead, threaten, or flinch, she states. In this scene, she's not defending her right to power, she's demonstrating it. No politics, no wealth, no legal claim, just presence. This is the embodiment of how strength often overrides every other system. Morality, reason, fairness. In JJK, the same kind of unspoken authority surrounds characters like Gojo. People step aside because he's powerful, not necessarily right. Cersei's lines remind us, in a world where power is real, you don't need justification, you just need to win. Which leads me to my next point with Brandon Sanderson. Sanderson's quote, "Power is an illusion of perception," adds another layer. Unlike Cersei or Bane, this isn't about raw presence, it's about belief. The perception of strength can be more powerful than strength itself. If people believe you're in control, they'll treat you like you are, even if you're falling apart behind the curtain. But that illusion works both ways. Those perceived as strong are also trapped by the perception. The moment they show doubt or weakness, the illusion crumbles, and with it, their identity. This is especially true for JJK characters like Yuji and Megumi, who are forced into roles before they are ready, expected to carry burdens that they didn't ask for, all because others believe they can. We often think of power as control, over people, over outcomes, over destiny. But what if power doesn't liberate? What if it confines? Binds you to expectations you never agreed to? What if power is just a leash dressed up as freedom? In Jujutsu Kaisen, power doesn't ask for permission. It simply declares who you are and what you are meant to do. From the moment a child shows potential, their fate begins to solidify, not through choice, but through obligation. You are strong, therefore you must fight. You must protect, you must endure. No one asks if you're ready. No one asks if you want it. Take Megumi Fujiguro. Born in the Zenin bloodline, raised under Satoru Gojo's watchful eye, he's told from a young age that his technique is special, that he's important. But that word, important, is a weight. It's not praise, it's pressure. And the stronger he becomes, the less he belongs to himself. His power isn't a gift, it's a debt that he's expected to repay. Yuji Itadori never asked to be part of this world. He didn't seek strength for glory or even for himself. He swallowed Sukuna's finger because it was the right thing to do. And that one act defined the rest of his life. His body becomes a prison. His strength becomes a weapon others wield. Even when he wins, he loses because the people he's trying to protect die anyway. And the more he grows, the more responsibility is thrown onto him until there's nothing left of the boy who just wanted to give people a proper death. Even Suguru Geto, the man who would eventually become a curse, didn't fall from weakness. He fell from strength. He had the power to exercise spirits, to protect the weak, to walk beside the world's strongest sorcerer, but none of it gave him peace. All it did was expose the cruelty of the system he served. Power opened his eyes and left him with a choice that tore him apart. Because that's the paradox. In a world where power is everything, the people with the most of it often feel the least control. They are expected to lead, to sacrifice, to save, and when they can't, the guilt eats them alive. Strength turns into isolation, purpose turns into burden, and potential becomes a curse. That's the illusion Bane strips bare in The Dark Knight Rises. Just because someone gives you power, just because you hold it, doesn't mean you're the one in charge. And Jujutsu Kaisen, no one really is. You either die the hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. In Jujutsu Kaisen, power is never static. It moves, it tempts, it whispers. The moment you gain it, it begins to ask things of you. More control, more sacrifice, more belief. And the cruelest part? Power doesn't change the world around you. It changes you. And this is where the seduction begins. For Suguru Geto, power wasn't the problem. It was the answer. He was one of the best. A top-tier sorcerer with a mission, a purpose, and a partner who understood him. He wasn't weak. He wasn't lost. But then he started to question the system itself. The idea that they were protecting non-sorcerers who couldn't even see the monsters that killed them. His strength didn't feel like salvation, it felt like a leash. And in his mind, the answer was simple. If power can't fix the world as it is, then maybe it can build a new one. He gave in. Geto fell for the lie many fall for. That having the power to change things means you have the right to do so. Kinjaku is the idea taken to its extreme. Not just seduced by power, but consumed by it. He body hops across centuries like he's skipping stones, chasing evolution, chasing control, all in the name of some greater good. But it's not about justice, it's about dominion. It's about shaping the world in his image because he believes only he can. Then there's Sukuna, a walking apocalypse. But here's what makes Sukuna terrifying. It's not just his strength, it's his detachment. He doesn't want to rule, he doesn't want to save, he just wants to exist as he pleases and kill without consequence. And ironically, that kind of purity, that rejection of morality, is seductive in its own way. Because Sukuna doesn't lie to himself, he doesn't dress up his violence, he owns it. But the most haunting seduction might be Gojo. He's the one who should have known better, the one who could have stopped everything. If he'd acted faster, spoken louder, loved more openly. But Gojo is trapped in the illusion of his own strength. He believes he can carry everything, that if he's just strong enough, he can outpace death, betrayal, and fate itself. And because he believes that, because he's seduced by his own ability, he lets others fall. The seduction of power is not just about wanting more. It's about believing that power makes you right, that the strength is proof of your vision, that your will should shape the world simply because you can impose it. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, every character who thinks that ends up alone, or worse, ends up wrong. White Hawk, Falcon of Light, King of Midland, Absolute. Griffith is pure temptation. The need for power beyond the self, but only for the self. It's beautiful, wrathful, it's cold and uncaring, yet you can't look away. He is ambition made flesh. What happens when power stops being a means and becomes the end? Not to protect, not to serve, but to rise. Griffith is what happens when power consumes you. Not suddenly, but slowly, seductively. With a whisper instead of a roar, before the fall, Griffith was everything. Charming, brilliant, invincible. Men followed him not out of duty, but devotion. And women, kings, queens, even enemies, saw divinity in his gaze. But Griffith didn't want love. He wanted legacy. A true friend is one who has their own dream. Power doesn't ask for loyalty, it demands sacrifice. But ambition is a hungry thing. It whispers in moments of stillness, reminds you of what you don't have, what you could have, if you just reached a little further. The higher you climb, the more you must give. This is the price of reaching. When the world pushes back, when the dream breaks you before you break the world. And it was here in the darkness where power called to him again. The Behelit didn't save Griffith, it reminded him of who he was and what he could still become. This is the moment temptation wins. When power becomes more important than people. He sacrificed everything, everyone, not because he was weak, but because he was willing to become something greater, something monstrous, something untouchable. He rose, not as a man, but as an idea, not as a leader, but a devil. Griffith is the final form of power without empathy. The dreamer who loved his dream more than the people who helped him build it. Because when power is your only pursuit, everything else becomes expendable. We started by asking what it means to be strong. to carry the title of the strongest. But somewhere along the way, the question stopped being about fists or curse techniques. It became about the burden of being strong. Because in Jujutsu Kaisen, power doesn't define you, it isolates you. It asks you to choose your friends or your mission, your soul or the world. And that's the final seduction, that if you're strong enough, you don't need anyone. That love is weakness, that hesitation is failure, that empathy is a luxury the powerful can't afford. But that's the lie. Because Yuji Itadori, the weakest one of them all, keeps fighting not to be strong, but to be human. Not to win, but to protect. Not to dominate, but to understand. He doesn't fight because he's powerful, he fights in spite of it. That's what makes Jujutsu Kaisen so tragic and so beautiful. It gives you gods and then kills them. It gives you monsters and then makes you feel for them. It shows you power and then whispers, this isn't the answer.